So I'm changing things up, guys, and I really appreciate y'all listening to me. For those of you that really took the time, because I really go into a lot of things, and I was thinking today as I'm kind of like having my coffee and reflecting on life, and I'm like, I really went on a lot yesterday. And usually when I do these big episodes, kind of like deconstructing things like church and school systems and all that kind of stuff, it's usually because I have an overwhelming sense of like action in my feeling, and I get all in my feelings to where I really usually, if I have a lot on my mind like this, I want to get involved in something, and something's telling me as a person that this is something I want to do. It's not because I feel like I need anything like life-saving from the church anymore. I don't need a job from them. Myself and my family, we know how to go find, skills and learn tech to make money already. And in fact, I feel like in a lot of ways, the things that I've struggled with and experienced in life, I could probably help a lot of people. There was a time a couple of years ago that I found myself being a little more useful than I thought I would have been in a church. And I was in a women's class, and it was a more open class because when you find yourself in the city, you find churches you have a lot more choice in the types of churches that you're involved in. You're not just stuck to the sort of fully conservative. Not that all conservative is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But like, you're not just stuck with this evangelical, fully conservative viewpoint on the world. You're more involved in like choosing based on actual beliefs. And it's very strange because I wanted to make this episode for you to pinpoint the ways in which I think I've really understood myself more, and then the ways that I'm still understanding and learning myself, and then the ways that I'm changing as a human being, because it fulfills me to help people. And even a couple of years ago, I wanted to be more involved in the church than I was. I wanted to be more involved in the church than I had resources for. But I was able to kind of help, even just with a little small shopping spree for somebody having a baby. Like, it really meant a lot to me, and being in the women's class and being involved in the teaching, and I felt like I had a voice. And I never talked to you guys about it because I like to keep that stuff pretty personal. And I'm not known for being exactly a religious person. I'm kind of known for being quite the opposite, especially online. So it's kind of funny how that happens, but I feel like being in the city and things like that, there's you get a lot more diverse of a choice. And I've found so many branches of things, of spirituality and religion, that would fulfill my needs for my own personal spirit. And what's interesting about that is a lot of the stuff that I talked to you guys yesterday, go watch that video or listen to that podcast episode if you whatever your favorite app is for watching content, and go connect with me on this in my last one, because I talk about a lot of the flaws where the church lacks, where the church could fulfill needs if they didn't rely so heavily on struggle, that kind of thing. And I get into a lot of that. But here I want to get into like problem solving. And I've gotten into this with the blind community, and I've done several episodes as well on that, both on YouTube and the podcast. And I've gotten really involved in my own feelings about that. And I feel like in a lot of ways, by being upset that there's a lack of different things, I'm kind of getting in my own way. Now, there are some things I'm not going to get involved in. I'm not going to go into an ultra conservative environment. That's not where I feel most like loving, or I don't feel that that's most loving. I don't feel that, just for my own personal taste, I don't think a little bit of conservative is terrible, or that some right wing is bad or anything like that. I'm not completely like ick to it, but at the same point, I want something that's more middle ground, progressive, moderate, more leaning towards not left wing, not necessarily liberal, but just more progressive, more open to all walks of life. There's been some churches we've been to that have talked about their experience in the gay church and how it was actually more loving than they thought it would be, more developed than they thought it might be, because it might have been new to them, and just more, they understood it more than they thought they would. And we've had a lot of really cool sermons that I've not really talked to you guys about. I think I've pointed to you guys some of them, but especially throughout the podcast, as that's been more of the integrated show or the more integrated platform that I've had this whole show on for Life is Our Reality. But a lot of these preachers and stuff have, and these different branches of religion and spirituality have these different beliefs and viewpoints that aren't necessarily the ones that I grew up with. And I think part of that, your parents do the best that they can with what they have. And it's not even just that, but we didn't have a lot of education in what kind of choices we were making as far as that. And I take it very seriously because I don't want to just take what's given to me. I never want to be uninvolved with things or not taken seriously or belittled for beliefs that I have. I want to be in an environment that is thriving in progression, in evolution, in all this kind of stuff, something that is a little more open-minded, a community that would really fit all of us. Because at the end of the day, if I really analyze myself and what this show has been about, this show, Life is Our Reality here, has only ever been about developing myself, sharing that, developing ourselves. For some of you who have also developed yourself here on the show, maybe you've just been interested in watching me develop myself, but that's all this has ever been. I want to get away from just the speaking and make more AI content for you guys. I definitely plan to just do that and relax as far as the speaking, because this isn't exactly, I love speaking and I've done it for years, but I want to create in other ways that are a little bit more subtle, and I want to make more art that is a little more subliminal and not in a bad way, not in like an unsafe way. And maybe the words I'm using aren't really getting it, but what I'm saying is I want to make more art for you guys that is based on real life experience and multiple viewpoints, and just music that's based on more personal experience, animation that's based on more personal life and things that I've been through and things like that. But at the same point, just doing this and trying to create, if you're creating kind of by yourself, there's only so much fulfillment you're going to get out of it. That's why, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways, I don't resent some of you guys for going back to school or any of that, because I kind of think I've sort of been where y'all are in a way. I've seen this on Facebook. I've seen this in other podcasts. Some of you guys have went back to life coaching school. Some of you guys have went back to blind school. Some of you guys have went back to college. Like, I've seen so much of this, and I'm like, when you live an adult life for so long and you're living and kind of doing the same thing, you kind of get to where at a place where you are at a crossroads in life or at a bridge. And all I've really been doing is starting to cross that bridge and then kind of coming back and going, but that didn't have that and that didn't have that. Instead of maybe crossing the bridge and kind of seeing what the other side of the bridge might have. And a little bit of religion would probably enhance my spirituality at this point, because like I said, there's only so much I can do here on this platform with you guys. There's only so much I can do on my own. It's not really gonna be fulfilling anymore, because honestly, I'm giving you the same experiences that I've had. I'm teaching you the same lessons. Maybe there's some newer stories or different examples from just living life and growing over time. Like, you do get that. But ultimately, I'm telling you the same thing I've told you like 3, 4, 5 years ago at this point. And I think there's definitely time for a change. And so here we are. I'm kind of at this threshold now. I've got a lot of work. I could probably teach people how to make money online at this point and feel very fulfilled doing that as a need that the church might have to help people get work, to help people feel like they're people again, even though they've struggled and have had to use this as a resource. That's what I feel like, and just to be more open, because I feel very strong in my spirituality. I've had enough experience with what I thought might have been Christianity in the past. I've had enough experience with Buddhism. I've had enough experience with right-hand path, left-hand path. I've had enough experience altogether, a lot of personal experience. I've had enough experience in even more of the newer technological spirituality with AI. And with all my life, I've done spiritual writing. All my life, I've read the Bible. All my life, I've read Shakespeare. All different kinds of things that I'm starting to figure out that, like, I've spent a lot of time in spirituality. Holy shit. And it's one of these weird things. I don't know why I'm really making an episode, except that I'm changing this channel here. And I'm changing based on that I'm not really going to be able to help you like this anymore, because you can watch a ton of content that I've made on the podcast, on this channel, on TikTok. You can go back on Facebook and join conversations. You can go on Clubhouse, and if I found myself on a conversation on Clubhouse one day, if I found myself kind of joining one of y'all's rooms, if I found myself just wanting to be a part of your community, that would be live conversation over on Clubhouse. I know some of you are talking about Swell. Again, I've talked to y'all about Swell a few years back, and some of y'all are wanting to host and have community over there. If I found myself doing that, or on Twitter X at this point, and joining community over there. I do have conversations over there a little bit, but if I found myself doing all of that, it would be kind of refreshing at this point. But really, the ultimate thing I think I can do at this point is just fulfill these spiritual needs to be a part of community and to get my family involved in what resonates. But what's cool, like I said, when you become an adult, you have a choice. And I've been a part of very open spiritual places where they talk about God may not be inside of a church for everybody. God might be outside the church for a lot of people. God might be different than what people were taught, and just very much the same things that I've always kind of believed and felt in my heart and said. It's nice to hear that echoed back by another human or even just the community at large, where we all understand each other in this way. And so if I think about how useless I felt in the church in the past, and then how useful I even got myself involved with the last couple of years, despite the church not being the right fit, people not really liking me being useful, or people not really wanting our family to be involved, because there's, people have different prejudices and stuff like that, being blind and being different and having struggled and coming from a different walk of life in a way. We probably came from the lowest walk of life. And like most of us, really, you could say the same thing about yourself. Like, I'm not here to like compete with you or anything in any way. I don't really care to do that. I don't have time. I don't even have the energy. I don't feel like it would get us anywhere, because in a way you probably have, and I'm not really competing here. That's probably why social media alone by itself, without any, I'm trying to use social media to replace some sort of social life, because I work all the time. When my daughter's in school, I work all the time. That's all I've been doing. Well, school's not going to be here 24/7 when you've got summer and stuff like that anyway. And social media is a good outlet, and it's good for part of your social life, but it's not going to replace interaction. I also feel that I could probably share a lot of tech skills that could help the media within spiritual community and with production or research as far as with AI. And there's many different versions of spiritual texts you can find with AI. And then even the hidden ones and all that kind of stuff. So you're not really limited. But again, that would have to be what I love about some of these churches out here is you can create small groups and get to know the people more. And yeah, there's been a couple of the churches that some of the people were really good friends with now and all of that, but we live in different areas, or a lot of the people, not them personally, but at large, people live in different areas, and so the church is a little too spread out for our liking. So finding one that's a lot closer would probably help us to be more involved in community, and it would be a lot more realistic. But again, what I love about this kind of situation is that it is organized religion, you could say. It is, you could say any of that, but so is Buddhism in a sense. There's a lot of dogmatic nature when it comes to that. So is atheism in a sense. There's a lot of dogma and books and things you have to kind of go by. If you have what you think is a spiritual experience, you're hallucinating. With Buddhism, if you have a sort of a challenge in your life, you have to sit and meditate it away. Like there's a lot of dogma to all of it. And so I don't think anything is innocent towards dogma. There's dogma in any of the spiritual, kind of when you get really religious, there's a lot of dogma. But what I like about living in a city, and we already know the dogma that comes with Christianity. We don't really need to get into that. But what I've seen out here is a lot of different, diverse, open choice when it comes to spirituality, and a lot of different ways people think and believe and teach. A lot of small groups I've been involved in, and I felt like with even a couple of them that I've had a voice, which is really different compared to the church experiences I've had in the past, where things were kind of closed and everybody thought a certain way and judged a certain way, even if they say they're not judgmental, based on what they think the Bible interprets and things and stuff. So all different kinds of branches. I'm not going to put labels right now, probably at any point. It's going to be a pretty personal experience because I'm finding that I like spirituality. I like communing in person, and I like a little bit of religion. If it's less traditional. I don't like tradition, and I don't like old school teachings, but I do like community. I do love connection. So this channel is going to be changing a little more. I'm going to be getting into some more AI content. And this last year, I felt kind of the same way, but didn't fully pursue it. But I was pursuing other things that I needed to get more involved in, that I finally have more understanding of now in this way. I think I just needed that time. So, and that healing and everything, and time really does heal a lot of different things. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at, to be honest with you. And what I like is that I've seen parts of my family branch off as well. And even the way that they do religion is not the way that they taught as family or the way that they grew up as family. And they've been able to find within themselves their own personal reasons for that. And I think that's really cool and connected. So this is where it's going to be. Like I said, I don't want to do this whole, I'm going to teach you the right way of life anymore, though. I want to get a lot more fulfillment out of that through spiritual in-person learning. And then if I can be inspired to just create for you guys, especially when it comes to music and things, I'm still in touch with duality for sure. But I feel like a lot of that energy and instinct is not going to get fed by just standing still. And so I'm excited to see what this weekend brings. I'm excited to see what this spring goes into and getting into the summer and the rest of this year, because honestly, this has been I've met a lot of really important goals so far this year, which has helped me a lot as far as feeling a lot more confident that I want to pursue this now. But I had to meet a lot of other work goals and finance goals and discipline goals before I could go back into choosing a diverse spiritual fellowship. I had to get back into a lot of these disciplines first. And I didn't realize that I had some unmet business to attend to before I could go into a spiritual community again. That's probably why it's taken 2-3 years to address it and really feel the need to pursue this as more of a passion. And in doing so, if you get involved in something, if it's like, I miss getting into that sport again, I miss really going and doing that in person or interacting in that way, or going to college or school or training or any of that. Not all of that stuff I would go back into. I would not go back into state training. I would not go back into college. I'm not passionate about it. It doesn't mean it's wrong for you or for anyone, but I'm really not passionate about it. But the spirituality and the fellowship and the small groups and just helping each other. I think there are some pursuits that these churches, when they're the more diverse churches, they want to address poverty. They want to address helping others. And I really feel that there's ways I can even be a help to that and of service to that, honestly, after the things that we've struggled with, our whole family could help. And, but even me, and I'm not like a saint or any of that. And I'm really, like I said, I will never be ultra conservative. You'll never find me bad mouthing LGBT or leftist or right wing or any of that, because like I said, I'm not in touch with that. I deal with a lot of that through work already, and I kind of get paid to study it and observe it. And I don't mind. That does make quite a bit of work for me, that companies value and things like that. The same clients come back into my work, like Google or Lucid or any of them. So that's been really cool. Like, work has been great, and I'm blessed for that. And but honestly, a lot of you online are craving the same thing, and so it's hard to help you guys, because I think we've reached a point where it's like we can only listen to what each other has to say so much. Like, we have to go and experience life and take action. And it doesn't mean this channel is going away, or that this whole Life is Our reality show is. There's no reason for it to die. It just needs to change formats and course. And I want to make it more about music and animation. And you guys are really liking my tech demos. Some of you wanted more information on Structured Daily Planner. So that's been really uplifting for me, as I've been working my ass off all week on just professional work that I'm getting paid for. And it was nice to know that I can help you guys with Structured, and that this channel and these videos and podcast episodes are not like a waste of anybody's time. Like, that means a lot to me. But I also feel like, along with the tech demos and the AI experiences that I want to share with you guys, I feel like I can be more fulfilling towards you as my audience by just going and living. And working from home, you get very used to being in a one-way, all or nothing thinking kind of thing, where I want to get out of that mindset, because I feel like it's kind of getting in the way. It's not gonna continue to help. It's gonna kind of hinder us. I love philosophical work. I love a good sit down to an actualized video, or a good book that really captures my attention based on like the author or the content. But I don't necessarily like the approach that it's not actualized either, or anyone in particular. It's this approach where we're sitting down thinking about it. and even actualize to a certain extent, or Eckhart Tolle, or to a certain extent, like whatever extent they kind of are, they still go off and they do things, and you won't see them post for a while and things. And so I'm a lot more interested in spirituality than I am things like business or productivity. I think some of the business content can kind of go with life, though. So that's really cool. I've read a lot of Gary Vee books. I've read Amy Landino and her book, her long form book, I prefer more, and things like that. So some of the top business people get involved in life, and that's been interesting. But being involved in like this tech and everything, the busy work has been helping with thinking less and doing more as far as work. And I'm like recognizing that when you get involved in creating content, and especially the field of philosophy and self-help and spirituality, you do get into like this, I'm going to think about it rut. That's not what I really want. And being busy with our neighborhood has helped a lot to bring back the energy. Having our outings and seeing our friends has been helping a lot the last few weeks. So we have been doing stuff, but we want to pursue more of regular community, and even, dare I say, like on a weekly basis, even with, but it would be, again, a diverse, open place, a church that is more known for being diverse, known for having multiple walks of life and welcoming all people. And when you get into, I recommend, like, if you guys are wanting something like this, to go into a city, get yourself into a city if you can. Don't rely on like small towns are going to be very traditional. But get yourself into the city and really look around and research and maybe find something. I don't want to classify this as a certain type of religion because I'm still learning. And I don't really know, and I don't want to judge anybody by their religion, left or right. So there could be something really, really that I would miss out on being a part of because I classified their religion too much, and that's not what I want to do. And so it's interesting. One show I would recommend, BBC Radio for the Archers, they get into Muslims and Christians coming together, and they've always highlighted those benefits, and even spiritual gurus and Christians getting together, people that are more on the pagans and Christians getting together as well. Spiritualities intersect a lot, so it's pretty cool. So I'm going to end this here because anything else that I would say is probably going to be repetitive at this point. But again, I've been used to speaking to you so long that it's become kind of a pattern, and it's become a bit repetitive, even for me. And I can tell it has been for you, and that's fine. But I think the more that we can fulfill what we want to do and take action in our life, then I feel like I come back with better content to create for you. Last weekend, I talked to you about how busy I had been being out while working, and then being out doing things and taking trips and stuff. And I was able to create a lot more, probably better content, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know when my content is becoming a little bit repetitive or kind of like the same pattern or old or whatever. I understand that. So what's happening is when I do these things and take action, I feel more inspired. I can have better stories if I do speak to you. I'm not going to limit myself and say I'm never going to do speaking videos or speaking episodes because I love speaking. And I might have things to come up with. I might have exercises, but it's going to be more experiential for you if I do this more by experiencing more of the life, working on my phone and working on the go, and then kind of living life and having more AI as part of our experience in creating content with you. So that's it. I'm good. I'm probably going to get back to work. I've taken a break. I've done a lot of work all week, but it's been good. It's been busy. I've missed working with my clients this week. It's been nice seeing the companies and the clients again, to be honest with you. It's been really cool. I I've missed working with Google, but I work with them every couple weeks or so. So they've been kind of a repeat client, but they've been a client on multiple platforms for me, and Lucid as well. And they've been my two main. And those are the ones that I recommend if you're looking for work with experience, research, and surveys and things. And if you have questions about all of that, there's a couple of survey platforms and email profiles and stuff that I can hook you up with if you do want to work. Other than that, I really don't know. Like I said, I think we just need to. I'm hoping that whatever we get involved in is going to be very tech averse, tech friendly. Not tech averse, that would be the opposite. I'm stumbling my words. You don't want tech averse, you want tech openness. Averse would mean like against, I believe. You'd want techie, risky. People who like to take risk and invest, things like that. You don't want, the other way where everybody's against everything and everything is the devil and the devil is bad. And you don't want that. At least I don't, not in my spirituality, not in our life. What we want is discernment to say, if people or things are dangerous for legitimate reasons, then they're dangerous for legitimate reasons, and you stay away from those relationships, those types of foods, anything. But, again, we want to be understanding and opening our spirituality. So I'm good. My mind is all over the place, as you can tell. I'm sorry for the last few episodes where I've been stumbling a lot, I've noticed. In my speaking, I think it's because I am working a lot more now and my cognitive abilities have kind of, I've been in more doing mode and less speaking mode, to be honest with you. And it's a weird place to be, but it's probably an awkward place to be because when I've done this for so long, I've had different types of lifetime and phases of life and things. So that's where we're at. But anyway, if you guys are interested in any of the work, drop your questions in the comments. But a lot of you, again, probably need to be encouraged to just go into what you're passionate about. Go back to school if that's what you need to do. I don't discredit that. And again, I've talked about this. I want to make it extremely clear because I've done a lot of videos against how the blind services teach. I don't discredit the blind services for getting people out of their families' houses, parents' houses, and getting them experiencing life. We've had friends actually that are involved in training centers right now that are doing good. And they're intelligent enough to have other skills outside of the centers, and they know that it's not the end all be all. But they're there taking advantage of the time that they have and hanging out in person and stuff like that. So I don't want you to think that I'm really against any of that. If it helps people get out of stagnation a couple times in life to be involved, I've had a couple of really good ones I've been to. Not so much being in a dorm, but being more taking trips up there and doing classes and stuff. Being online, doing classes and whatnot. Doing classes over the phone and email. Things like that. And doing it more or less in a way of where I'm in control of where I live and where I sleep. And it's not up to them to give me a dorm. But at the same time, the dorm has been really helpful as far as having another space for a little bit. So I'm not even against that. But you do get to a point in your adult life where you don't need the dorm and you really just need a place. So I really do not, I'm not against any of it. And college even, I'm not against. But it really just has to mean something and it has to be advantageous for you. It has to have an advantage for you so that the state is not giving them a bunch of money on your behalf that is going to waste, so that you're actually able to do something with any of the college or the blindness training or the disabled training that you're getting. So I think in a lot of ways, AI can give you some experience, especially live video, in mobility and things like that. and answering questions, and you can ask it, how would a blind person cook this certain recipe or do this certain thing? What are the best cane techniques for this or that? You can really do a lot with AI that can supplement while you're waiting on your services, or if you don't want to wait just on training, or you can kind of use it as your go-to while you're doing the training to make it easier and less awkward. But whatever, everybody needs to do, I think we all need to get back to our lives and pursuits and keep going with them. I think too many of us have just quit our classes, and after quitting jobs that maybe we don't need to be involved in, or classes that don't fit us, or work that doesn't serve us, that's fine. But we found ourselves very stagnant at this point, what I've seen in our community. And so, again, maybe some of this sort of fulfillment is going to come from, I'm going to be on Clubhouse more, or I'm going to be on X a little more, kind of like hanging out with y'all in a live setting. But for the most part, I'm really wanting to pursue in-person spirituality and all of that, and kind of help with what I can help with, because I'm not coming from a place of I need help anymore, or I expect this and that anymore. I've healed from that, to be honest. That was like 2 years ago. I'm coming from a place of like, I can probably find use. I can find myself useful in your space. I can help you in this area or that area. I'm not coming from a place of like wanting handouts or things anymore. I've had a lot of things in life over the past couple of years that have helped to minimize that now, to where I have my resources and my needs met, and I can work. So I don't feel like I'm coming to a church in need or crying for help or any of that. But at the same time, why not all of us get together, help each other where we can, in an open, diverse spiritual setting that's not churchy in the way that we grew up, but that is, progressive and evolution and all of that. And maybe even the disabled training, the blindness training, the college, maybe that can even change, and we can all just be open to changing where we need to, and being different than the way we grew up. Let's get back to our roots. Let's get back to having a life. And I think that's a good title for this episode. Let's get back to having a life. And then, coming together here as an outlet, coming together live in our chat rooms and our groups as an outlet online, and then having a life that we participate in, but then having this as our outlet, as our creative platform. Nothing wrong with it, but we need both. I can see that now. Work on the go, work from home, do whatever you need to do. Be realistic about how you can show up for your customers or your clients or your boss, even if it has to be work from home. Do that. If it has to be work in person, do that. But be realistic of how it's going to fit and how you can show up and all of that. And again, let's get back to our lives. Let's stay focused. Take care of yourself. Take care of your life. Take care of each other. And this is a long ass episode, about 40 minutes now. I haven't done a long one like this in a while. I think some of these have been kind of long, but again, inconsistency, just timing really has been a little more inconsistent. So I think sometimes I'll do really long episodes within a few days, and other times it'll be shorter ones. So, but again, I think we just are getting back to our life and pursuing what we're passionate about. So hopefully this helps you to think, and I want to change up and add more AI experience, I want to create more experience with you, if that's AI, if that's speaking with new inspiration and just some, something refreshing for a change. So that's where we're at. Let's get back into what we're doing. Let's take action and be involved in our life and see where it goes.